For a mullet, right? Yeah.
I don't know what he's paid.
Now, we're going to follow the we spoke about it this morning. So you never know. Let's start. Some action there. It's worth looking at. There you are.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the scheduled meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council, which scheduled designated time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using a electronic amplifying and recording device in order to obtain a clear and audible record. We request all those that wish to speak be recognized and state your name and address directly to the microphone. The recording device is to be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meeting. Madam Clerk, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hutchison.
Present.
Mr. Schmidt.
Present.
Mrs. Stubbs. Present. Mrs. Winters. Here. Mr. Mignon.
Here.
Mrs. Strada. Here. Mr. Mercado.
Present.
Mr. Lechner.
Here.
Chief Earl.
Here.
Mr. Parliament.
Here.
Mr. Cantwell.
Present.
Mr. Cardis.
Here.
We'll now have our first public portion. The public portion is for agenda items only. Anyone wishing to speak, please raise your hand. Yes. Morgan, yes.
Good evening, Council. Maureen Myers, Empire Avenue. Hello.
Good evening.
I have a couple questions. On the consent agenda, I see that there are a lot of grants for the clean community, the drunk driving, the bike path, the drive sober, and the cameras. Can you explain what plans we have for those grants?
Okay, with 249, that's the Clean Communities Program.
Mhm.
That's the grant that we apply for annually. It supports our, if you see the litter patrol folks that work in Public Works, it supports a couple additional salaries there in Public Works.
It's primarily salaries at work, salaries and wages.
Okay, so it's not necessarily to clean up the community?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it's part of our litter patrol. We have designated individuals that are part of our litter patrol that go throughout the township picking litter on the sides of the road.
Okay. Do we have any specific areas that you're focusing on, or is it just in general?
I would have to defer to public. I don't determine the Public Works
Yeah,
schedule.
I noticed Public Works doesn't come anymore.
Mr. Cardis oversees our department.
Oh, okay. So do you know if there are any specific projects that they're working on?
I don't have the schedule. I can get you the schedule, but we are throughout the entire township.
Okay. I'm just curious because there's always seems to be like pockets of areas that are.
And we also operate on weekends now, which is new. That was done about a year and a half ago. There's a crew that operates Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
And that's part of their schedule, correct, Mr. Cardis?
It is, and the reason being was we have a lot of athletic activities going on weekends, and it was noticed that some of our containers were overflowing, so they are routinely going around emptying those containers.
Okay, thanks.
On the drunk driving enforcement grant, that's something that the police department secures almost on an annual basis. Is that correct, Chief Earl?
That's correct.
Usually, you send out a nixel and say that you're out patrolling a particular area. The following one, the next one is.
But I'm sorry, but what exactly does that $9,000 go towards?
There were efforts in curbing drunk driving, enforcing that throughout the township on a particular
So
weekend.
overtime and stuff
Yes,
like
yes,
that?
overtime.
Okay.
Next is $170,000 grant from the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the extension of the bike path. The bike path runs parallel to the Black Horse Pike, starting from, I believe, Brown Avenue, past past Lakeland Road.
This particular
further.
section from Brown Avenue to Landing Road.
Very good. Okay.
Brown to Landing.
It starts where the northern end of the bike path, where it
The
stops
Hilltop
down.
area.
It goes
Hilltop
there to the
area?
next street.
Okay, so you're going north.
North.
Okay.
Making it more difficult to run that bike path, extending it. Okay.
Well, it needs to be longer because it is wonderful. Okay.
Next is the Drive Sober Get Pulled Over grant. That's through a police department as well. Drive Sober, drunk driving efforts, drunk driving prevention.
Correct.
And the next one is the Camden County Camera Assistance Grant for $61,500.
What exactly is that?
Chief, do you want to explain that? That is,
There are applied towards costs for body-worn cameras
Oh.
for police officers.
Oh, okay. Great.
so all those items will be inserted into the budget.
Okay. And then the other question I have is on item 250. I'm sorry, 259. The Broad Acres.
Culvert replacement.
Right.
Culvert looks like a big tube, and it's underneath the roads, and water flows through there from one side to another. So this is a change order for $13,000 for replacement that's taking place in the Cherrywood section of Broad Acres Drive.
Okay, so, but that was done through a bid, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that we added to that bid? Or what was the reasoning for the change order?
The change order, bear with me for 1 second. Adjustment in the quantities for the completion of the project.
Okay, so did we add to what they were supposed to be doing? Because I noticed it does show a breakdown of quantities and unit price and things of that nature, and you know, a lot of things they were low on and we ended up paying more and vice versa. So for this product, did we add on to the amount of work that they were doing, or did they just underestimate the material?
Can you?
I don't know specifically.
I would again assume, and I'd have to go back to Mr. Rogers to check, but I'm sure that they encountered situations where they had more than enough, and then there were situations where they had less than needed. A job like this, typically talking about a $400,000 job, a change order of $13,000. I fully expect that. And I think you, with your experience on council.
Yeah, I was just curious as to whether or not they just miscalculated, because you know, with bids, depending on how close the bids are.
I would say it's almost every job that I see with a big job with roads, street resurfacing or drainage replacement of culverts, you can anticipate.
Yeah. I will say though, I was surprised about the what they bid on versus what they actually used and paid for. There were a lot of discrepancies in the quantities. You know, I don't know how that happens that often in a bid. I mean, usually they're pretty good at knowing what material they need.
I think it happens not only here in Gloucester Township, but throughout.
I know, but there are some that are pretty extensive in here. You know, like $100,000.
So, Ms. Meyer, is there anything else?
At this point, no. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else? Mr. Heimel.
Pete Heimbaugh, Morningstar Court. One follow-up question on the on Resolution 253, which is the grant for the cameras, $61,500. Is that amount going to cover the full cost of cameras to Gloucester Township, or does Gloucester Township need to also chip in some for the cost of these?
Chief?
No, it covers for this year. I think the total cost is about $211,000. Now, it's not just body-worn cameras. It's called the Officer Safety Program. It's kind of complicated, like tasers that the officers carry activate when they're withdrawn from the holster. The body camera activates, and then the whole system has redashing, which is very expensive. It's done very expensive.
So the difference then, this $140,000 difference is in your budget?
In the capital budget for 16.
In your capital, in the capital budget, okay. And these body cameras, is this a year, an annual grant? I mean, there'll be some maintenance to these cameras and some replacement cameras, things like that needed. Is this an annual grant?
Chief, is this through the JAG program or just?
No, it's not, and there will be some other costs. I don't have it in front of me, but no, this was a one-time incentive for municipalities to try to start body camera program.
I see.
There could be other funding later, but there's none guaranteed. Right?
So down the road, to maintain these cameras and upkeep them, replace them, as far as we can tell right now, that's going to be a township budget situation. Okay.
Right.
I see Cherry Hills is a couple steps moving forward with their body cameras for their police department already.
They are. We were in close contact with them. They purchased the exact same equipment.
Okay. Thank you. A couple questions related to the bill list. There's first one is there's a $6,223 payment to American Traffic, and it says it's for street signs. But my real question on that is that American Traffic Solutions, or is this a different firm? It's not American Traffic Solutions.
It's actually for blanks, because we have our own sign shop. We manufacture our own signs.
Okay, thank you. And I see an invoice for $9,311 for Archer Griner, attorney, and the only description with that expenditure is as township attorney. Is there an explanation for that?
I can tell you it involves a lawsuit. I cannot tell you anything beyond that. I don't know that I can provide you a copy of the invoice at this point. I would defer to Mr. Carlemere, but it involves a lawsuit.
Okay. And also, we had a big one come through for the artificial turf. 1.686 million was paid this month for the artificial turf. So my question for that is that a partial payment or?
No, it's a final payment, and it deals with the actual turf itself and the installation of the turf, and that would be for all 4 fields.
So that's the final payment to this Field Turf USA outfit who did who for the turf and for the installation. What's the balance of the roughly $3 million that has been capitalized for?
There was an initial payment to Land Tech for preparation of the fields. Okay. It's really two phases, and they're both about the same monetarily speaking. Each field had to be prepared. I don't know what it was involved, but I know that was extensive work. It took several weeks to complete.
Okay. So as far as expenditures against this borrowing, bond borrowing, we're complete then.
I believe we are, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Heimbaugh, your time's up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Sir, yes, sir. Sorry to point everyone. Yes, sir. In the red.
My name's Beverly Scott, and I'm from 1989, Sicklerville Road. I just had a couple questions. One question is with this new, where they had implemented a company for the electric, and I was just wondering. I'm not. This is more of an intuitive statement because I wasn't prepared because I got the letter after the fact, so I didn't keep track of my electricity. But it's the highest bill that I received in 30 years. And they were saying we're going to save money. Then and so why I was concerned, like I said, I didn't keep track of my electricity, so I don't have any facts. But my concern is we in terms of our electricity, we don't just let it run. We cut the air conditioner off at night. When we go to bed, the air conditioner's off. So that's about 8 hours that it's not on. And we monitor it through the day because we're both at home through the day. So we turn it up and down depending on the coolness of the house. We don't like just set it one thing and let it run all day. So I was kind of concerned, like I said, this is intuitive because I didn't keep track of the electricity that month, but like I said, in 30 years, it's the highest bill I've ever had. And I do know it was extremely hot this year, but so I'm wondering how many other people, or is there anyone that did keep track of their bills that ran into the same situation? That was one question. The other thing is, it's a golf course called Freeway Golf Course, and I've called the municipal building several times, property tax office, and I think it was the mayor's office, just trying to get some information on the status of it, what's going on with it, because it's closed. And I see that they have cut the grass, but I'm wondering if the golf course itself, is that being kept up? Is it in receivership? I'm just wondering where can I get information regarding these, because when I've called, I've gotten no information. I've made 3 calls so far, different parts of the municipal building.
I'll answer your second question first. Freeway is owned by Philadelphia Golf Club Group. They still have the property. They are still responsible for maintaining that particular property. So it's not in receivership. The township doesn't own the property. Philadelphia Golf Club is still responsible for it, the maintenance of it. So your electric bill, my electric bill went through the roof too. I was a little upset because I like my windows open, but for the month of August and I think the last 2 weeks of July, my windows were shut and the air conditioning was running, and I received a large electric bill as well. The energy aggregation program is the part of the energy that is supplied to you. It stays at a certain rate. Now your usage, it's going to differentiate with the way you utilize your electric. So with air conditioning, if we had a very warm month of August, a warm month of July, I think it was the highest summer on record in the Philadelphia area. But your supply rate, the amount that's provided to you, will remain consistent for 14 months. That does not change. If you take a look at you have Atlantic Electric?
Yes.
If you take Atlantic Electric, it'll give you different kilowatts, and it'll say the supply, and you take a look at that. That will not change. In fact, it's lower than the rate that they would charge other customers that are not in the program.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Anyone with any agenda items only? Yes, sir.
Vince Russo, 48 Great Pebble Circle, Sicklerville, Cobblestone Farm. How you doing? I hope your vacation was good last month anyway. You were away. This resolution 1609-261, I'm not really sure what this is referring to. If you could just let me know on that one.
261.
Refund of taxes, I mean, is that,
These are individuals that made duplicate payments to the township, so we've refunded them.
okay. And I had a question. I know it's just regarding what the gentleman said about freeway. Are they also still paying their taxes on the property?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Mr. Sweet.
Sam Sweet from 18 Elizabeth Place over in Ariel.
Good evening.
This is only agenda items, correct?
Agenda items.
Okay. On the regular agenda, 1609-262, resolution appointing a member to the Gloucester Township Housing Authority.
Yes.
Was that posted anywhere and I missed it? Or how does one go about applying for that position?
When there is an opening on any of our township boards, they would reach out to the mayor's office and indicate that there is an opening, or council. In this particular case, the housing authority appointment is a mayor's appointment with the consent of the council. So this individual expressed an interest. There was an opening. Someone had left the housing authority. They expressed an interest. The mayor's office forwarded this name to council. They reviewed his resume, and there's a resolution for him to be appointed.
So it's not posted in place, so...
Not
Like for instance, I couldn't apply for that job not knowing that it wasn't there. Not saying I want to, I'm just asking a general question.
He expressed an interest in becoming involved with the township, I believe. I don't know how he came across the mayor's email or how he was contacted. I know you had reached out and expressed interest in Field of Dreams, and the mayor shared that with me.
I've yet to hear from anybody.
Well, you're going to hear it tonight.
Okay.
From me.
All right. That's fine. We'll
All right.
bring that up in the second portion.
All right.
Thank you. That was it.
Yes,
That's all.
thank you. Clarification. Housing authority is a volunteer position. It's not a paid position. No, no one's getting paid for that.
I wasn't asking. I just wanted
Okay.
how to go about it.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the first public portion. Minutes, please.
Waive the reading and accept the minutes of August 8th.
Is there a motion?
Second.
On the question? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs? Yes. Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mignon?
I abstain from the August 8th minutes.
Mrs. Trotta? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes. Next, we have our resolutions of consent agenda. I would like to pull off or amend, well, I'm going to pull off Resolution 260, and we're going to amend that. So, does anyone else want to pull off any resolutions on the consent agenda? All right, hearing none, I entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented with the exception of Resolution 260.
Make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
On the question, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes. 260.
Resolution authorizing refunds from the Department of Community Development.
Blackwood redevelopment is, we're amending that. That's not going to be included as a refund. It would just be for the crossings at Twin Oaks too. I entertain a motion to pass that resolution on the question. A second? Is there a second?
I'll second that.
On the question? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
262, resolution appointing a member to the Gloucester Township Housing Authority.
Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Okay.
On the question? Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stubbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Trotta? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Next, we do not receive any GT.gov access emails. We have our second public portion, but before we go into that, there's a few things that I wanted to address to the public. First is our Field of Dreams. I grew up in a small little town in Gloucester County in Swedesboro, and I never had the opportunity to play organized baseball. My father owned a grocery store that was open 7 days a week. I had to work there all the time. And my mom was a seamstress and worked for the local school in the cafeteria. So we didn't have a little league organization in my town. And but baseball was my first love. I can recite you stats from when I was a younger child, and I could emulate some of the batting stances of the 1983 World Series Phillies when they went against the Orioles. And but I never had the chance to play organized baseball, even though it was my first love. I got to play organized basketball and football through high school, but I didn't have that opportunity. There are children in Gloucester Township that don't have the opportunity to play baseball, organized baseball here. These are children that have special needs and that have other developmental disabilities that want to play baseball. They want an opportunity to play baseball, and we're going to make that happen. Over the last 3 years, we have discussed providing a field called Field of Dreams for those that have these special needs. The original concept was to raise money, to not use public money for it, and to have a field at Community Park. Fundraising took place, and our friends at the Rotary graciously held the money for the township. Now, at the last meeting, there was some discussion about the dollar amount that was raised, and I want to be very clear when I say this. $137,000 was raised and is being held with the Rotary Foundation. It is not the Rotary's money, it's money that was raised for Field of Dreams. Over the last 2 years, the project stalled. Quite frankly, no one met, no one pushed this, no one asked to move this along. So, what we're going to do is jumpstart that. Tonight, over the weekend, I had a conversation with Councilman Michael Mignon, and I had asked him to head up a Field of Dreams task force. Michael has been involved with Erie Little League Baseball for over 10 years, has started organizations from ground up, because this committee is going to be charged with putting an organization together. He's going to have a ball of clay, and he's going to be able to put a committee together that will take on new individuals, bring back some of the individuals that were interested in the Field of Dreams, and before the last meeting in December, the last meeting in December, will come to us, this body, with outcomes. So what I'm asking that committee to do is answer some questions. How are we going to organize and raise money? How are we going to promote the league? Recruit help? How are we going to register participants and create teams? How are we going to organize a schedule? How are we going to get liability insurance? These are things that, for someone who's involved in an athletic organization, they know the nuts and bolts of it. Quite frankly, I don't know that. I coach in the Little League, but I don't know the nuts and bolts of it. How are games going to be played? Where are they going to be played? And how do we get buddies to work with our special needs children and getting volunteers, and to make sure that we sustain that? Registration fees, uniforms. These things are going to be answered through this committee. So the field will be located. Now we said a Field of Dreams. The field will be located at Valley Brook Complex, not at Gloucester Township Community Park. There is a turf field that is next to the soccer field. It is an underutilized softball field that turf was put on there. The dugouts were made ADA, they're ADA compliant. Some of the $137,000, or maybe all the $137,000, will be utilized to provide ADA improvements to that particular facility. For many years, if you remember, when special education children were taught in our school districts, they were ostracized and kept away from people. In my school district, you walk down the lane and you were in a separate building. Our children are going to be in the middle of all these kids that are playing at TVA soccer. So they're going to see their neighbor, their sister, their brother. They're going to be in the middle of it. So they're not going to be ostracized and set apart from others. So Mr. Mignon will be chairing that task force. We'll be inviting individuals to take place and be part of it. And I believe this first meeting will be on council chambers, and he'll reach out to those individuals on September 21st at 7 o'clock. It's a Thursday here in council chambers. So Mr. Mignon, I want to thank you very much for taking that on, and I look forward to any recommendations that you bring forward. You also. Second, Over the last few years, you hear things, and we'll have our public portion, I just want to get this out, things that are said that unfortunately council doesn't get an opportunity to reply to. People say they ask us questions and we don't respond to those questions. Or there's things that are online, and because it's on Facebook, it's true. So I want to just bring up a couple things I just jotted down over the weekend of things that have been said and differentiate between fact and fiction. So back in 2011, there were individuals, the county had moved to a metro police department, and they were inviting other municipalities to join the county police department. And there were individuals that were scaring some of our residents, telling them that we were going to join the Camden County Police Force. And they asked council over and over again, please put it in writing. And my response to them is that we're not going to join the Camden County Police Department. But they kept insisting that we put it in writing. Now, these are the same folks now that are advocating for consolidation of governmental functions such as fire, school districts, and who knows what else. But that was something where people were scared. They want their own police department. But they perpetuated that story throughout the community. Next, in 2004, the council, the municipality purchased a Lenco Bearcat, known affectionately as the tank. That is a wheel armored personnel carrier. That tank costs $385,000. Not $1 million, not $500,000, but people continue to say that we spent $1 million on it. In fact, on one particular website, it's a fellow that administers it, he says, how many tanks and toys does Gloucester Township need? Currently, Gloucester Township has parked its own 2 military-type response vehicles. Camden County parks theirs in the township, but Gloucester Township wanted to have the one to call their own. Seldom used, but available for parades, and periodically seen at eating establishments. Overkill would be a phrase most residents would use to describe their tax dollars spent. The township also boasts new segways, several new police crossovers that stay in use for 5 to 6 years, but choose to bond for 15 to 20 years. That particular individual was behind the rally this past weekend. Verizon Fios. The Verizon Fios. We do not have Verizon in town. The thing that people say is the mayor works for Comcast. We all know that. That we don't have Verizon in town because the mayor works for Comcast. An agreement was signed in 2008 by Cindy Rowhatton, the former mayor, for a 15-year deal with Comcast. It was a non-exclusivity contract. That means anyone could come here. If you're the ABC cable company and you want to come to Gloucester Township, you can come to Gloucester Township. But I guess laying down that cable or Fios or everything is expensive. But no, there is not an exclusivity contract with Comcast. Anyone could come here if they want to. This one, it was from 2013. We were going to cancel Halloween. Do you remember that? Halloween 2013. The mayor and council were going to cancel Halloween. We passed a resolution. Each year we pass a resolution along with the police that says, be careful, these are the hours of curfew, and try to trick or treat in some of your neighborhoods or areas that you're familiar with. But folks came here and they said, I can't believe you're going to cancel Halloween. We weren't canceling Halloween. But what that led to is that the last 2 years we had a trunk or treat in the park. In 2014 we had about 2,500 people, and last year, and you're shaking your head, about 5,000 people were in our park. Okay, so we took lemons and made lemonade. Okay, bear with me. Solar panels. The township took $20 million out of the budget and paid for solar panels. No, the township did not take $20 million out of the solar panels. Marina Energy, that's a subsidiary of South Jersey Industries, that's South Jersey Gas. They paid $20 million to put solar panels up. Marina owns the solar panels. They sell the power to the township and the school district at a reduced discount. Once again, the town did not take $20 million out. The savings that we've talked about, $4 million over 15 years. Again, the township did not take $20 million out of our budget. The outlets, the premium outlets, Gloucester Township premium outlets. So people had said, some of those folks are here, no one wants to work there. Oh, those are minimum wage jobs. It's not going to happen. Well, they don't pay taxes. Well, when they had their job fair, that job fair had an hour wait for people to get in there, and that job fair lasted 6 hours. There was over 800 jobs at the outlets. They were paying taxes on a parcel of land that, once again, I said this before, if we took a hat, we could probably chip in and pay what taxes were paid for before. It was farmland assessed, and we received less than $5,000 in taxes for the outlets. Now, the outlets are paying taxes. They have a tax abatement on the improvements of the land, on the buildings. They're paying $390,000 on the land right now. In January 2017, 30% of their tax rate they're going to start paying of the improvements. That's assessed at $56 million, that project. That goes into our coffers. So they have a 5-year tax abatement, not a pilot of 30 years, not a long-term tax abatement, but after those 5 years, all that money is going to go and trickle down to our school districts, both our school districts, the county, the fire, and also the municipality. And when they say that people weren't going there, if anyone did school shopping the last 2 weeks at the outlets, they were jam-packed. Someone's going there. Turf fields. So for years, for last year, they said that they were $10 million turf fields. That's a fictitious number. The fields are not $10 million. We have 4 turf fields, 1 in Valley Brook and 3 at Community Park. Football, soccer, lacrosse, and field hockey. The total cost is $2.97 million for the turf fields. This past Friday, Gloucester Township Stallions had their pep rally. There was over 1,000 people at that pep rally and also at the soccer fields, enjoying the field that we have at Gloucester Township Community Park. Free turf field, this one. Highland Youth Soccer was offered a free turf field, but the township said no because we want our buddies to get bond work. That's the story. Highland Youth Soccer had never received an offer, was never approached an offer, and the president of Highland Youth Soccer, feel free to contact him. His name is Greg Wisemore, at president at highlandyouthsoccer.org, and he can confirm it, and he'll come here and tell you. He was never offered a free turf field by anyone. Lastly, this is billboards. We see the billboards there, and people ask, well, who's paying for those messages? As part of the approval process through the planning and zoning boards, the clicks that we receive for Gloucester Township, join the excitement or welcome here, those are provided at no cost to the township. So those are some things that I just wanted to clarify, because there are folks, when you continue to tell a story over and over again, people tend to believe it. If you want to ask a question, ask questions, and we'll answer your question for you. But these stories, they're spun by people who say they care about our community, and they have a watchdog looking for them, but they sit behind a keyboard and they type things away and they disparage people and they call people names. Well, I don't call people names. And I think as a council, as a body, we try to be respectful as we can to people that come up here. And we try to answer your questions. And I give it to you straight. And if you don't like it, you know, it may not be something that's palatable to you. You may not like what I'm saying, but I'm giving it to you straight and I'm leveling it with you. So, going forward, you know, if your neighbor says, oh, you know, it costs $10 million, or there's a free field at Highland, or the tank costs $2 million now, please correct them or ask a question. So with that being said, sorry I took up so much of your time. We'll open up the second public portion. Anyone wishing to speak? Mr. Russo.
Thank you, Council. I have a few questions regarding last month's meeting. We discussed the outcome for the school that was shut down, that was for sale and supposedly held up there.
Grenlock School.
Grenlock School. I just wanted an update on that.
Well, that is, it's owned by the Board of Education. I know a little bit about it because I work for the school district. That was, it's an eyesore. It's been shut down for about 5 or 6 years.
Right.
So when Priet and Simon, they're the developers of the premium outlets, they had approached the school district about purchasing it. The survey that they had said it was 3 acres. It's approximately 1.7, 1.5 acres. So the dollar amount that they offered was based on 3 acres and $700,000. Their offer was $700,000. Where they're at now, I believe they pulled the offer. I'm not on the school board, I'm not involved with that, but that's what I know. So it's just sitting there right now.
Okay. So everything from we were told last month there was lawyers involved as far
Well, there are lawyers.
so it's off the table at this
No,
point.
there's discussions that are taking place, but I would tell you this, Mr. Russo, that parcel of land now is far more valuable than when that offer was made in the summer of 2015.
That's a good thing, that is.
So,
Okay, thank you. And also then with the freeway golf course, I was asking, it's publicly owned by...
it's privately owned.
Privately owned, I'm sorry. And it's not up for sale at this time, or there's some discussion about up for sale. I was just curious if the township...
There were some folks that were interested, private folks, at our meeting at the end of, first meeting in August. Mr. Lechner had informed us that they had approached us about possibly buying it as open space,
right,
and preserving it. But, that's over 100 acres. Is that right, Mr. Lechner?
157 acres.
157 acres.
So is that still possible for open space purchase?
Not totally off the table.
Okay. Thank you. One more question regarding the taxes, and I appreciate you explaining a lot of the stuff that you just did over, again, we all go on Facebook and read the media and so on, and the only thing I have to say is I agree, we have to raise taxes every year or two or whatever, but it was the amount of taxes that got raised this year. I mean, the way we got hit. No one thought about, $800,000 that I just, and I had to come up with an extra $300 in the quarter for, you know what I mean? It's not, that's the problem I have, and I think a lot of people also. I mean, the way we got hit all at once between the county, the township, and the school district, and fire department, everybody, all at 1 year. There was no consideration spreading it out over maybe a 2-3 year period. Would have been a lot easier, I know it's done what it's done, but again, I think it could have been handled a lot better. I haven't heard from the mayor. He sent out his annual report, the fall report. His front page didn't mention nothing about it. But every other time, he always mentioned about not raising taxes. Now we don't hear from him. He doesn't show up in the meeting, Just want, some consideration for the residents, We're going to get reassessed in every 10 years? Am I correct?
The law says 10 years.
Can it be sooner?
Not possible.
Can we do it sooner?
Okay.
Do the whole township, because you just went out. I know what it's going to cost, but when you did it at the market when it's up here. Right after that, 6 months to a year, bang. Now, I know, I went through that, and Mr. Palumbo's not here, so I can't go for the reassessment and so on. And it's got to be over 15% difference and all that other stuff, which, but if everybody reassesses, just think about this. Our tax rate's going to go up. You still need the money that we budget, that we're spending out here. And a lot of it's good money being spent, but again, I think we should all consider the residents. We need to stay here. You want us here. We want to go great in the next future, the years to come. But I moved here. I didn't get any incentive to move here from Philadelphia. If I leave, I'm going to get hit with a real estate tax. What kind of fairness is that? But thank you for your time. Thank you for everything.
Just to add, we did receive, Tom informed us at our workshop, FEMA money back for our storm. That was an amount of $1.2 million.
A little bit over 1.2.
A little bit over 1.2. Yeah, anyone else? Mrs. Lovett.
Shelley Lovett, 742 Chatham Road, Gloucester Township. So, Council President,
yes.
I guess I did something wrong on Saturday because I read on Facebook there was a police rally to support the police department and EMT, the fire department, at Veterans Park. And I went, and the way you made it sound like that was a bad thing.
No, you didn't. But I find it hypocritical that the individuals that had put that rally together, and I read completely from one of their sites talking about tanks and toys.
Well, you know what I think? I think just because you have a difference of opinion doesn't make you a hypocrite.
I'm giving you my difference of opinion.
Well, you know, I've sat up there and I've been on that side, and I know that people say things and they come to these meetings and they write, and sometimes it's their only way to get out their frustrations, to view their opinions. Doesn't make them good people or bad people. It's what this country is all about. It's what our government is all about. We get up there, we say what we mean. Sometimes we don't always say what we mean, but this is the forum that we do that.
Absolutely.
People write it on Facebook. People send out flyers. Election time, hey, people write lots of things.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff.
Oh, you know, I could tell you, so I should say now, hey, last election I hated dogs, so, does that make it true? But what I'm saying is, you have the ability to sit up there and give your opinion to everybody and everything. And sometimes people go out on Facebook and they say things, they comment on things. I don't think they should be belittled. I think you may disagree with them, but at least it's their opportunity, and at least they're involved and they're saying what they mean. So I'm glad I went to the rally on Saturday. I was surprised that I didn't see any of you at the rally on Saturday, and I wish there were more people there, because I think it's the most important thing we can do is get out there in person and show what we feel.
I think our police department knows that Gloucester Township Mayor and Council support them. And in fact, I was coaching a Little League game at 1 o'clock that day, so I could not make it. But nevertheless, I think that our police department is aware of the 130 men and women of Gloucester Township that we support them.
And I think that the residents of Gloucester Township, they pay their taxes. A lot of them are, in distress when it comes to paying their taxes. They dig deep. They can't go on vacation. They don't have the extra income to go on vacations, to go out and participate in a lot of things they'd like to, because they want to pay their taxes. And by paying their taxes, they support the police department. They support the education in the township. They support the Little League fields. Just because we get up and complain doesn't mean we don't support them. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, Mark Hamilton, Head Rock Drive in Timbercove. Could you tell me what percentage of residents opted out on the energy plan now that we've been with it for probably a month and a half, 2 months?
I couldn't provide you a number. We reach out to we have an energy consultant that we could try to reach out to Tri-Eagle and Con Edison. Those are two entities that are doing the aggregation to find out what percentage or how well it's doing.
Yeah, I wanted to see just how many people opted out.
Mark, if you can come up here and provide your phone number, I can give you a call back.
Okay.
So, no, Mark, you can come up here now. Is there anyone else? Yes, sir, in yellow.
Robert DeLynch, 608 Tanglewood Drive, Sicklerville. Just to follow up, last meeting I was here on August 15th, and missed a couple. But what happened was on August 12th, when I called about the noise, what happened from coming from Valaris, it was lowered by the time the police had arrived at my house. So I didn't think anything of it at that time, but when I came on August 15th, I was assured that the policemen people were informed and that they would be able to follow up with us. On August 19th, I called again. When I called, the response to the same policeman that was there on the 12th was there on the 19th and said to me, "Quist was lowered again." He said to me, "Yeah, I know, they just lowered it," he said to me. And so, needless to say, that made me feel as though, okay, I was under the impression that you were going to respond. I can't help their volume when it goes up and down, but it was lower. And as I showed him, I froze my my decibel meter at when I had called, which was 77.4, and that was in my house. He said, well, it's not calibrated, and so he said he has one, and it is calibrated, which I thought that his wasn't calibrated also, the owner, meaning the owner of Flores. So I don't know, it's just that I guess I was sort of dissuaded, and even though there have been excessive noise since, I have been discouraged from calling because I didn't want that same kind of response. Also, my second question is this is an easy one, the shredding. We have the shredding once a year, and I was wondering, are we scheduling that this year? When we bring it into the Gloucester Township?
Public Works, Robert, can we get back to you on that?
Sure.
Our Public Works is.
Yeah, because I looked at the town newspaper, and I didn't. Normally, it's listed there, and I didn't see it listed.
You never thought you would have a decibel meter, correct?
You're right.
You have one. Miss Kelly has one, and your neighbor has one. Before I went on vacation in August, I had an opportunity to sit with Miss Kelly at her house on Friday evening for about an hour and a half. And we did have lemonade. Thank you. And it was just the DJ. This is 7:15, 7 o'clock in the evening, and once you can hear it going through the glass or sliding door, but as soon as you open it up, you're right there. So that was just the DJ. And then when the band came there, it intensified. So I know what you're going through the hour and a half that I spent there. One of the things that we've been trying to wrap our arms around, in fact, I was talking to Councilwoman Stubbs this year, we got to do something about Tanglewood. And we have to do something about the noise that's taking place there. I know Mr. Canwell had sent something to, I didn't get to read the particular email, but you were at a conference or colleagues of yours.
We sent some names of some sound musical engineers that we passed that on.
But Robert, I think the goal is the season's almost ending, but I think our goal is to make sure we have something in place prior to March, because there are some warm days in March, and just spending that hour and a half there, if you have you can't keep your windows open at night on a night like this, and if they had the band out there, you're listening to music till 11, 12 o'clock at night. So I can't say I sympathize with you, but I don't. I was just there for 90 minutes. You have to deal with it on a daily basis, in and out. So we have to again wrap our arms around this thing and try to figure it out prior to the next season. Mr. Carlemaire has reached out to other municipalities, and then I'm going to review the information Mr. Campbell has sent over regarding acoustic engineers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we get his information for the shredding?
Oh yes, Robert. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Council. I am Cheryl Burley from 9 Foxwood Court.
Hi, Ms. Burley. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. Correct me if I'm wrong. However, this is what I found doing online research. In 2010, Mayor's campaign promise was that there would be no more double-digit tax increases. And yet, here we are with a 12% tax increase for this year on top of the 9% hike last year, even with the governor's promise of a 2% cap on property taxes. This was a cap to protect residents. However, this mayor and council is using debt service to get around it, making those who were supposed to benefit from this law suffer loophole consequences. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but the residents are desperate for change. We cannot and will not accept any more tax increases, not even 2%. We want and will fight for property tax reductions. We have way too much waste and way too much government expense in this township for the average resident to survive. Much of it needs to be reduced. If the mayor and council are not willing to work with residents, we have no choice but to work very hard to make it happen on our own, even if this means replacing those in control of our tax dollars. You were elected in good faith to do what is best for the residents, not to tax them out of the homes they worked hard to pay for. I have some questions for council. Does council have any say on the number of fire districts and fire commissioners we have in this township?
Fire districts are elected, there are 30 commissioners and they're elected by the people on the third Saturday in February.
Right, but
So they are their own elected body.
So
Can I have
nothing-
can I have a conversation with them? Can we listen to them as mayor and council? Absolutely. But I cannot dictate to to fire districts what they are to do.
Well, our desperation is to the up, it's just too high in this township. My understanding is that we have 6 fire districts with 30 elected, paid fire commissioners. When Washington Township and Winslow have only 1 and 2 commissioners. Is this true?
I don't know what Washington Township or Winslow has, but we do have 30 commissioners.
Well, this is what I found online. That
Yes,
they
that's-
have 1 each. And
I'm not aware of other
Washington
municipalities.
Township is the same size as this township, I believe. And Winslow Township is much larger. It's almost double. If this is true, you need to work on bringing about change in the name of forced regionalization. Now, we do need forced regionalization. We also need you guys to freeze the salaries. You need to freeze them. The people can't afford it. They've got high enough salaries right now. In the township, all of the officials and your employees, they need to get a freeze. They need to give the residents a break. This is too much. We can't tolerate it anymore. Could you please tell me if it's true that Mayor has accumulated $1.7 million in campaign funds using pay-to-play? Is this true?
I don't oversee his campaign fundraising.
Well, no one else
No.
can find out because he doesn't return any calls.
No,
He
there are
doesn't-
elect reports. You can go to New Jersey Elect, and you can find out all the reports of any type of fundraising and contributions made to him. Or any other.
I thought maybe our elected officials would know what's going on.
That's not a governmental, that's a more of a political thing.
Yes, but...
Okay, it's not our council's responsibility, Ms. Burley, with all due respect, to
Okay.
monitor.
Only the mayor does this on his own.
No, Ms. Burley, what I'm saying is, our responsibility is governmental. That is political function, what he raises or what any other candidate raises. But
No, but I'm saying with pay to play, like we give a contract to this company because this company is willing to donate money to our campaign. This is what's done throughout Washington and the state, so why not here?
Each contribution that's over, is it over $300, Mr. Carlo? Is that the- Each contribution over $300 is properly noted. So you see where all the contributions come from. But you can go on the ELEC report, which is on the New Jersey website.
What is this site?
ELEC. It's New Jersey ELEC. E-L-E-C.
Okay. All right, I also sent council an email on an idea for converting the rundown or unused parks in the township into community gardens. Did anyone on council read it? And if so, I would like your thoughts on it.
Ms. Burley, when did you send that email? I checked my email this afternoon. I did not see anything.
I
from you.
sent it 2 days after the June 25th council meeting,
June 25th or July 25th?
or July 25th, excuse me.
And you sent it to individual email accounts or
The
just?
council. They just gave two right to the council.
Okay.
That's when they sent it.
I did not receive that. Could you resend that to my personal, my omercado@glowtwip.com?
Okay.
I return my emails.
All right.
You may not like the response, but I do return them.
I came to council tonight dressed in black because I am mourning the loss of those who have found your tax increases too much to afford living here any longer. There will be more and more sales for sale signs going up, more houses on your sheriff's sales list. My neighbors, my friends, my acquaintances who are being driven from the homes they worked a lifetime to pay for. We no longer live in the American dream. We live the American nightmare. You have to do something to make a change in this. You have to start reducing taxes. You can't keep increasing them. You're already way above everybody else. Other townships aren't as high as you. You're talking about all this revenue you're getting in. Okay, all this revenue you're getting in. And you just said you got stuff from FEMA, some money. That should go to reduce our
That was
taxes.
you, but we also incurred an expense for those storms. So we're receiving money back from FEMA that we submitted for those storms. And just to respond to your question about where we fall in the 37 municipalities in Camden County, we are the 23rd. We're ranked 23rd lowest in the county.
Well, most of us in New Jersey are already overtaxed.
Ms. Burley, your time's up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Mr. Bradley. Ms. Burley, if you could resend that email, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm sorry I don't use email, but I'm here to make a suggestion to council.
May we have your name, sir?
Thank you. My name is Addison Bradley. I own the funeral manor down here on Hyder Lane and Bradley Court. And recently I put blue lights out in front of my building. All my neighbors said, "Why'd you put out the blue lights?" I said I put out the blue lights because blue lights matter, as do blue lives. Blue lives matter. And my statement with those blue lights is that I support blue lives. And I was not aware of a rally that was this Saturday, or I would have probably been there, because we all support our police force, our firemen, our EMT, first aid people, our first responders. They are the blue lives. They are the blue lives that we should support. And this is a way you can do it. Put a blue light on your garage light or on your porch light. Put a blue light in your window. So when everybody drives by, they know that this house, this property, supports blue lives. Blue lives matter. If the council would pass a resolution stating that blue lives matter and that blue lights should be used by all residents to show that support, pass that resolution, send it to the school boards. Tell them to pass the same resolution and support the same issue. Send it to the Chamber of Commerce. Tell your neighbors, tell your friends. Send it to the service clubs, the Lions, the Rotary, those groups here in the township. Tell them if everybody would put a blue light out, it would be quite a statement. And if you could do it all, and it's not that easy to do so quickly. But this last week in September, they're going to have that canine program in the parks. And there's going to be police departments from all over the nation here in Gloucester Township. Just imagine if they drove through and saw all these blue lights in our communities supporting our police department, our Blue Lights Matter people. Thank you.
Thank you, Addison. Chief, are you going to make that announcement about the K9 competition later on?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Sweet.
Restate my name? Do I have to? That's fine. All right. Just a couple questions. Brian O'Neill, anything going on with that?
I haven't heard anything. Carlo Mayor, he's the developer that's interested in putting a rehab facility.
Nothing has come through my office in several weeks now, so I haven't had any reports from the attorneys that are handling.
Dan sits on our planning board. Dan, has anything come before the planning board at all?
Okay, I know he just threatened to sue and take us to court and all that, and I was just wondering, what was going on with that. So thank you for that.
And what I'll do is I'll ask to see if we receive anything else.
I know that you probably can't answer this question, but we received more information on the Grenlock School from you today than we've received going to school board meetings in the last year and a half.
Okay.
Why is that? I know you probably can't answer that, but how do you, you know that information. We have asked that information, what's going on, and we get blank looks. I know it's not your fault, but just kind of why do you know and we can't?
I would imagine if you contacted the superintendent could probably tell you about where it's at. I don't know where they're at, if they're in litigation or not, but I know that stalled over the acreage. But again, I think that whomever is interested in that parcel of land now, it's much more valuable than it was.
I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just that was more information than we've ever received in the last year, since last August, when it was going. Ms. Stubbs had said something last, and I apologize if I misquote you, but you said to think outside the box, come up with taxes, to way to lower our taxes or lower spending. And I don't know if this is on the table, but doing a hiring freeze until you guys get your financial house in order, because according to Mr. Cardis, we said we're 55 million in debt. Is that correct? So give or take.
55 million.
So to me, being 55 million in debt, I hate to say it, I don't want to do a hiring freeze, or a spending freeze, because I know you have a lot of bills and all that, but is that on the table at all?
That's something that we can convey to Tom, who's our business administrator. That's more the administrative side. We're the legislative side, but that's something that we can convey to the mayor and to the business administrator, that perhaps freeze our hiring in the interim. That's something that's been done in the past.
It has.
Is it something that's on the table, or something to be discussed, follow up with the next council meeting?
Mr. Cardis has been working with his directors, and they've started working on the budget for the upcoming year. So that I think everything's on the table.
Okay. Tri-Eagle and Con Edison, how did we go about choosing them?
There was a bid process that was done. What is the name of the outfit?
Good Energy.
Good Energy. So in order for a town to participate in the energy aggregation program, there has to be a reduction. It just can't be the same rate. There has to be a reduction. So actually, we started the energy aggregation program, or looking into it, roughly about 2.5 years ago. I remember it was a cold day in January. We were talking about it at Erie Elementary School. So maybe roughly 2014 or 2013. And it was through Good Energy. They put out a bid, and we partnered with Winslow and Summerdale because it made it more attractive bid, because now you went to 36,000 homes. So they went out to bid. They finally got, I remember when Mr. Cardis contacted me, he said we got someone, and these were the two entities that had submitted their bids, Tri-Eagle and Con Edison.
Was any research done on Tri-Eagle? Do we know who owns Tri-Eagle?
Tri-Eagle is an outfit out of Dallas, Texas. I think the parent company is called Sirius, C-I-R-U-S.
Okay.
Con Edison's located in upstate New York. Consolidated Edison, that's the name of the company.
Okay, all right, and my last item is, and I know it's a sore subject, but those turf fields, my kids play on the turf fields, and I don't know if you guys have, watched a soccer ball bounce and what comes up from those turf fields. Have you seen that?
I know there's crumb rubber that was put in there.
Yeah,
and that, if I can just finish, that rubber was put in there. We actually, actually spent additional dollars that helps decrease the temperature on those fields.
But have you seen the size of these core rubbers on there?
Could you bring it up?
Sure. Bounce a soccer ball on that.
With the direction of it, are you talking from a soccer perspective, or are you talking about?
I'm talking about either falling down, diving, if you're a goalie, doing a slide tackle in soccer, or even football. Those gets in somebody's eyes, or a little kid's mouth, and he swallows that. That can't be good. And yes, we can do dirt. Dirt can get in an eye, but dirt's not going to scratch a cornea.
Oh, I'd like to beg to differ.
Not as bad as these, Mrs. Trotto. These are hard.
Dirt and rocks.
All right, but on a football field, little dirt.
We play it.
It won't be as bad as these.
I've been in the ER for it.
And that's all. I know they're already installed. I'm not saying to uninstall them, but would have just been
Sam, you know what we can do is we could probably reach out to TBAA or Highland Youth Soccer, the lacrosse, field hockey team, and also the football team to find out. I would imagine, I know we do this at Kiwanis, there's injuries reported to the league. So we could take a look and see if there's any injuries that have been reported due to this over the course of the year.
Okay. All right. That's
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Polidoro.
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro, Ariel. I'm not going to get into bickering with you, but we know the history of the online services, the blogs and what have you, back from the Penn Jersey days and what have you. And let me welcome you back from vacation, Mr. Mercado.
Thank you.
And I'm not sure if you spent any good deal of time on your vacation on Facebook, but you surely had a lot of Facebook time recently. In that,
people like to tell me things.
It is what it is. But it seems that the conversations that go on, you're watching and seeing what's going on, to the point where you felt necessary to explain a lot of what you've seen on Facebook. And it seemed to be that you were implying that the people that are speaking on Facebook, back and forth, statements out, statements back, response to statements, is scaring people. I think above all, what scares the people of Gloucester Township is the administration, this administration, raised taxes of 25% back in 2010, again 9% in 2014, and 12% this year. I think that scares them a whole lot more than the babble that's going on. And that's what I think that they're more afraid of than what you mentioned. Keep on paying attention to Facebook, though. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Carr.
Joanne Carr, Timberburg. Speaking about Grenlock School, I had come before you and I had told you about the historical significance the school has and different things. So I guess I'm given to believe now that the property is worth so much more that there isn't any hope of Grenlock School remaining or being used for something with a historical significance.
Mrs. Carr, I'm not involved with any of the negotiations of Grenlock School. I know this is at the 10,000 foot level. So I can't, when I say that it's probably far more valuable now than it was a year and a half ago, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. You got outlets that are up and running that are appraised at $56 million. So that's...
The value makes the school less valuable in the eyes of historians. In keeping the building. It's better as a parking lot than as a historical.
Well, there have been other historical buildings in this town.
I know.
That if you drive down Almanesson Road, what do you see?
It's been stalled for many reasons. You're talking about the Marshall Wainwright House,
Absolutely.
the Moffas.
Moffas Farm. You can't see it from the road.
We have grants to take care of the roof, and we have been working with the mayor to see about getting that in a better condition and using that property better. It's the location is of a significance even with the county in bike paths and things like that. I have been coming to this council meeting since 2005 because of Moffas Farm. We saved it from being wrecked. It was one of the first houses built in the township. Part of it was built in the early 1700s, maybe even the late 1600s. We are still working, but we try not to be obtrusive and a pain in the neck. We just want to keep working at it. We're trying to keep it, we're trying to get it repaired enough so that it's not falling into benign neglect. Yeah, you haven't knocked it down with a wrecking ball, and that's only because we fought you on it. But you're not doing anything to save it either, and that's benign neglect. And we are doing our best to see to it that it does not go. But yes, you're right, there are many other places around that have gone. And they were privately owned, and we had no control over that. So,
Ms. Carr, any idea what a full restoration of that particular building would take?
Oh, I'm not talking about a restoration. I mean, there's preservation. and there's restoration, and I understand the difference. And the thing is, as I said before about Grenlock School, you have a redevelopment area here in Blackwood. You're putting old-time lamps and lights, and you're putting landscaping along to make it look like back in the day, and it's wonderful. And a mile and a half down the road, you have a building that was here then, and it is of historical value because of that building, there has been no more segregation. There was a black school, had all black children in it, and when Grenlock opened, that school closed, and there has never been segregation in Gloucester Township since Grenlock opened.
Ms.
There are other things going on with it too. I understand.
But that's not our building to say.
I understand
that. Gloucester Township Board of Education's building.
I was just clarifying the fact that because the land is considerably more valuable, that any hopes of saving the building, in my mind, are dashed. I was just bringing that out. I have another question. I've been getting, I get the notifications from the police department and everything, and you were advertising for crossing guard. There's a job for a crossing guard. I grew up in Philly. There were crossing guards on all the corners. We're a big township. How many crossing guards do we have, and what determines where they're stationed?
I believe
Can I take a stab? Okay. The walking areas: Glendora, Ariel, Gloucester Township. Harry, what am I else missing?
Essex Avenue, I think.
About your elementary school?
I think there are 7 posts off the top of my head.
Oh,
Some of them may overlap with some crossing, but for a town roll of our size, there's actually very few. I think Ariel has over 30.
Right.
So some of those locations, I don't think they've changed in probably 20 years. Most of those locations.
But it's basically for any school children that walk to the school. If they're just being bused, then there wouldn't be a crossing guard.
Yeah, I mean, there are many more walkers than there are those that are crossing guards. It's those areas that have been somewhat of a report, perhaps a location. There's been a complaint by residents over the years. But generally, they've been the same post for a pretty significant time.
Well, just to add to that, those Glendora, Gloucester Township Elementary, and Ariel, those are the only schools I believe that have walkers that are going to their schools. Because if you live on, if you're going towards Belmar, left-hand side of the Blackwood Spikes on Station Avenue, where the school is located, that particular, they walk to Glendora.
What about Mullen? Don't they have some walkers?
They're not permitted to walk.
Right, unless they're crossing major highways. I have Blackwood, I have a few children who live right behind me who walk, but they're the homes right behind the school. So when you're talking about crossing major thoroughways, you're talking walking schools, which are basically Glendora, Gloucester Township, and because Ariel's right in that neighborhood. So when you have Mullen, I mean, they're not supposed to walk to have kids who cross that street.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Ms. Myers.
First off, I want to commend you, I'm sorry, Marie Myers, Empire Avenue. I believe it was the last council meeting that someone had suggested, I don't believe you were here, I think you may have been on vacations, had suggested about the council meetings being put on the Nextel or whatever it's called. Nixel. And I received my message today. So I want to thank you for recognizing that that is something that is a tool that can be used to keep people informed. I get a lot of things on there that are kind of, you know, a little more than I need to know, but I just want to thank you for whoever took the initiative to follow through with that. Second thing is the Field of Dreams. I think it's great that you're recognizing the special needs of the kids in our community. But I'm a little surprised that a fundraiser was done. Was that with council, or is that strictly Rotary that did that?
No, fundraising was done by a Field of Dreams committee. In order to have that money housed, that's why we partnered with Rotary Okay. We have a 501c3. So that's why any of the fundraisers that took place, actually there hasn't been one in close to 3 years.
Okay.
But all that money was housed with Rotary. The Rotary Foundation holds on to that money.
Okay, so my question is, you mentioned doing a committee that I believe you're going to head up. Was that not done before?
There
this
was. Maureen, there was a committee. They had met. They put these fundraisers together. There was a bowling. There was Adelphia's. There was a chili cook-off. There was private money that came in, and it stalled. And
why did it stall? Was a
Just-
council person on that?
No, there wasn't. They had met as a group. When we had talked about possibly including that in the bond for the turf fields, the cost of the Field of Dreams would probably have been an additional $600,000 to the 2.9 that we had taken out. The field at Valley Brook, there's an underutilized softball field. Frankly, there's about 3 or 4 of them. They're only used once a year for a tournament. You go out there and you slide, you're going to rip up your leg. They don't get maintained. The field that's adjacent to, the softball field that's adjacent to the TVAA soccer field, we covered in turf. So then we started discussion, said let's make the dugouts ADA accessible.
Could you stop that clock for a second? Because I have a lot to talk about, and I know you're being very extensive here, but I do have a few more things.
Yes,
as you're responding.
When I'm responding, we'll stop the clock.
Okay, thanks.
But we'll give you additional time.
No, I appreciate it.
Okay. So we made the dugouts ADA accessible. The bathrooms, we're going to have to make them ADA accessible as well. There is, if anyone's familiar with the layout of Valley Brook, your dog played soccer there. There's an access road that runs parallel to Little Gloucester Road and then make a left there. So that access road is in between soccer fields, the turf field, and the anticipated Field of Dreams field. So that's a long walk. So there's discussions of possibly a parking lot in one of those underutilized softball fields. This is just, sky vision right here. We have to get it moving forward and see what the dollars are. But using that $137,000 that was fundraised to use for those improvements.
Okay. Have you also considered other sports?
No, not at this time.
Okay, so it's strictly just going to be basketball.
Baseball.
Baseball. Your dream sport. Okay. Because I would hope that you would consider this for other sports as well.
What we have done, and this is just me thinking out loud, with the committee, Mr. Mignon will have some of the, we'll reach out to the former members of the Field Dreams Committee, the rec department. Kevin O'Brien is part of Special Services of Gloucester Township that works with special services, special needs children, to incorporate them. Speaking, which is an organization within town that deals with special ed, special needs children. So we need to pick their brains, but also put a structure together because, quite frankly, no one was asking, okay, what's the next step?
Right.
People say, how come the field's not done? No.
Sure.
We need an organization in place. We have a field. We're going to provide a field. We need an organizational structure now.
Well, I would suggest not bringing those 4 people back that were on it before.
Well,
sorry, just my opinion. The other question is the economic development. I know, years ago there was one put together for the Black Horse Pike that went all the way up into
Blackwood West. Yes.
Yes. Nothing has ever been done with that.
There is an economic development corporation that does meet on a monthly basis. I believe they meet here in the mayor's office. Mr. Lechner, are you part of that committee as well? And their charge when they first came about was Blackwood West, the redevelopment of Blackwood West, the corridor leading to downtown Blackwood. But they're also, they discuss other issues throughout the township. We have our economic development consultant, which is Triad Associates, that they work closely with them. Ken, is there anything you want to add about what the Corp does?
Well, we meet the second Thursday of every month in the mayor's conference room. And right now we're
we're working on a marketing campaign to try to market the Black Horse Pike from Meadows Diner south to College Drive.
Okay, and how about Blackwood Clemton Road?
Well, Blackwood Clemton Road, we also have a redevelopment plan that we approved earlier part of this year for Blackwood Clemton Road. Actually,
I guess that kind of stops at Little Gloucester Road, because beyond that we have so many.
well, Blackwood Clemton Road, if you on the one side, it's pretty much all developed from Little Gloucester Road to Laurel Plaza. The Entenmann's, I don't want to speak too, but the Entenmann's project is going to get totally rehauled, including Rita's Water Ice.
How about the other side, though? The side
The other
that's been
side,
abandoned
right, well,
for years and years and years
one
and
side
years.
at a time. So.
Yeah, that's a lot of taxes on the other side. That
But they're paying the taxes.
they are.
Unfortunately, they're foreclosed, but, you know, I mean, there's nothing in there, but they're not foreclosed, but they're still paying their taxes.
Okay. All right. Well, I think maybe we need to do some incentive to try and get them to sell. Because
And unfortunately,
it's
if you
a
drive-
horrible looking
I
area.
know. If you drive down, you know, even if you go through the Washington Township and you see some of these are plazas that were built in the late 70s, early 80s. And
I know. I
Mr.
lived
Bradley
here when
can
it
add to
was
that,
just
'cause
all country on that road.
he's an architect and engineer, but you know, a lot where there's a lot of parking in the front, and then you have the plaza in the back. And when you go down the White Horse Pike, the old W.T. Grant place where you see the cops driving around doing training there. But those are places where it was all parking lot in the front and the retail in the back, and that's why I was very happy about the design of the outlets, where the parking surrounds it, and you have it there where you step off a curb, you're not going to get hit by a car. Because if you're in any Jackson outlets, down Atlantic City, down in Rehoboth, you're not looking, you're going to get hit by a car. Here you can wander around in the middle of the outlets and you're not in fear of getting hit by the traffic.
Well, I have to say, you know, I was not really sure how I felt about the outlets coming.
You like it, Maureen?
I do. I do
All right,
love it.
thank
So
you.
I'm just letting you know that. I think it's laid out very nicely. It has a nice community feeling to it. I just would like to see more of that coming into the middle of town, because that's where it all started, in the middle of town. We seem to be doing things on the outskirts. So, again, I'm there more than I'm down on the other side, so maybe I'm a little bit, partial to the Blackwood Clemton Road area and Black Horse Pike area, but I'd like to see some stuff happening.
I did see construction drawings for the Commerce 1, I think, or Commerce Plaza 1, which is behind TD Bank, a new facade. So when they're actually going to start construction, I don't have an answer for, but I did see architectural drawings, which is a
And that goes a long way, because if you remember where the Kmart Plaza was before, they slapped a new facade, painted that place, resurfaced. Well, the parking lot still needs some help, but they threw that Starbucks in there. You know, you had Pizza Hut, the T-Mobile place, Catardo's.
Yeah, that was nice.
And the gym. It's the facility. They invested some money in it. They did some streetscaping there along Blackwood Clemton Road. I just hope they don't close the Kmart down.
Yeah.
You're always fearful of that.
One
Yes.
last thing, I'm sorry. We were talking about, Addison was talking about the Blue Lives Matter and all that stuff, and I wasn't aware of the event this past weekend. But I have, son-in-law, I have a sister-in-law.
Oh, she's married, really? Oh, makes you feel old.
I wanted to find out. I believe that you participated in the President's Task Force. I did get to see that online. But what exactly are we doing here in town to get into the areas that are higher in crime? I mean, I see, on Facebook, because I do follow Gloucester Township Facebook. So I do see pictures here and there of, the police officers with the kids and stuff like that. But I don't see them going into the areas that are more of a high crime area. So what do we do in those areas?
Yeah, I mean, we run we address the high crime areas pretty well. It may not seem necessarily that on social media.
Maybe we should, but go ahead.
And some of those are maybe even more covert operations where we don't kind of disclose it. But even in addressing some of the high crime areas, a lot of it is just engaging with them.
Right.
And being a part of it. I mean, everything that we do. I mean, just honestly, just last week, first day of school, our interaction for all throughout the town and even at the schools is building a relationship, which is a huge part of the 21st century policing. And that's why we do that, trying to establish that connection with people who are very young, so we're not dealing with some of the disconnect that we see across the country today.
But are we going into the crime-ridden areas and really doing something to kind of,
You mean like in a non-enforcement sense?
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
Gary,
yeah.
Loch Lomond, when you went to Loch Lomond.
It's a great example.
What's Loch Lomond?
Loch Lomond's off of Hicksdown Road.
Okay.
By the community park. There was a major bust there. But that same morning, you sent your community policing department, Jen McLaughlin in the back, and they rolled up there and assured these residents that, you know what, we're paying attention to this neighborhood. We're mindful of what's taking place here, and we want you to, see us as a friend and as an advocate for you. Harry, if you want to add to that?
That's exactly right. I mean, even after some of these operations that you see, search warrant, be quite dramatic of arrests, it's a regular situation for us that we respond in the next day or that day.
I know you do. My son
door.
lives in an apartment complex, and there was a bust over there, and he got a little door knocker saying that, that there was an event and, heighten awareness. But if you could then just, Facebook is a great social media. Obviously, you are doing your thing on research. If we could have some more pictures of the areas that are, maybe the lower income areas, the more dense areas where the crime is, that might, give a better feeling to the community that you are doing what you're doing. So,
we'll take it back.
Thank you very much, Maureen.
Thank you.
Anyone else that has not spoken? Mr. Sweet, you're our last speaker of the evening.
Sam Sweet, Ariel. Just a quick question. The Board of Education meetings are the same night as council. We've asked the Board of Education to potentially look at moving them, and we got the answer was an emphatic no. Would council ever consider moving? Because there are some people that would like to go to both meetings, and we have to choose which one we want to go to.
That has been asked on numerous occasions. We meet 3 times a month. We have a workshop on the first Monday of the month. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. The workshop is where sometimes people say you don't discuss anything up here. Discussion takes place at our workshop. That sets the agenda for this meeting and for the second meeting of the month, which is the 4th Monday of the month. If we moved it to, now, Board of Education said they have theirs, I believe, 2nd or 3rd, or sometimes it changes due to a conflict with the holiday schedule. Tuesdays, we have planning board meetings here. Wednesday, we have a zoning board meeting. Thursdays, there's Board of Education meetings for the Black Horse Pike Regional. And Friday, good luck, you're not going to find me here. Okay, so I'm being honest there.
Just because the board, it seems like the board would be easier to move because there's some people, I'm sure there's some in the audience that would like to go to both meetings. Because according to, we had that tax increase, but it was 12 cents on you guys and 9 cents on school. And according to Mr. Carlemere, you guys didn't talk. So if we had been able to go to both meetings, we might have been able to see this coming as a community, but we can't. And the school board has basically said no. And the response we got back from some of the sitting members was, well, then get elected and change it yourself, which we know how that went last October or November. So we're kind of at an impasse. I'm wondering if you guys had any pull to move a board meeting, because the board meeting could be easily moved. That's the easier one. And I understand you guys.
But Sam, we can't dictate to they're elected. Okay. They're their own elected body. We can have a conversation, but they're their own elected.
Well, could
body.
you have the conversation with them?
Actually, when I became president in January, Ms. Reese had reached out to me and stated that they would like to keep their meetings on Monday, and I had said the same thing. We would keep our meetings on Monday.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll close the public portion. Directors.
Mr. Lechner?
have nothing to add. Thank you.
Chief Burrow?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, Council. Just an update on the K-9 Nationals is coming quickly.
Sorry for passing notes.
Oh, no, that's great. So it's getting really exciting. I know we're having a meeting tomorrow to really start to kick off the events. Certainly, K-9 officers, specifically Officer Gervais, Captain Nazi, working with the mayor in his office, really excited about what's happening. Nearly 100 police K-9s from across the country. One is actually far outside the country, coming from Mexico, traveling 2,500 miles to participate here in Gloucester Township beginning on September 25th. Great.
If there's one particular, I saw the schedule, most events are 8 a.m. to 2. If there's one particular day that you say we can't miss, what would it be?
That would be Thursday, late afternoon into the evening and into the night,
okay.
Thursday the 29th.
Okay.
So I think 4:30 probably the public demo, then a parade of the canines, and then fireworks. And this has all been through fundraising through the United States Police Canine Association that they've worked and helped sponsor this event here in Gloucester Township. So it should be a great week with the highlight that night, September 29th, at Timber Creek High School is where that will take place. The Junior Police Academy, just want to mention we heard some discussion about engaging with the community. And our Junior Police Academy, we're going to kick off in January this year, a little bit earlier. We see that it starts to interfere with some different activities in the spring. Trying to start that a little bit earlier, so really encouraged to take part, learn about the Gloucester Township Police Department. And Officer McLaughlin in the back can certainly help those folks that are interested in trying to enroll in that, starting that process early.
The Citizens Police Academy.
Citizens. Oh, I said junior. I'm sorry.
I said make them sweat in the summer. My son did.
So Citizens Police Academy, 16 and older.
Okay.
And there was a time that they had to be even I think 21. Then we lowered it to 18. Now we're down to 16 for young adults. And we've seen that work well because we see the dynamic of we've had people 16 years old. We've had people I think nearly 80 years old in the same room. And some great conversations take place with the police officers in the Citizens Police Academy.
And it's a wonderful program. Those who are here, that you get an opportunity to see the nuts and bolts of what the police department does on a daily basis. So.
It's just the Blue Mass is coming up as well at Our Lady of Hope. It is during the day, during the week. September 29th, 10:30 a.m. Our Lady of Hope. It is open to the public, honoring law enforcement. It traditionally is a very large event and really powerful. Great police officers from all over southern New Jersey attend that event. And then all the Gloucester Township police officers just finished over the past few weeks a program at the Constitution Center in Philadelphia. Really proud. It's not easy to get every police officer in Gloucester Township through a training program, but it's policing in a more perfect union. It's about respecting the rights of individuals. It was created by Philadelphia Police Department. I myself one as well. Taught by the staff at the Constitution Center, and it's really to learn about what the Constitution is about and what our purpose is in law enforcement. And really, it was an overall part of the 21st Century Policing Project, and we were lucky to be so close to Philadelphia to participate in that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Parliament?
Nothing to report.
Campbell?
Nothing to report.
Hardis?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hutchison?
As always, I appreciate the comments from everybody in the audience. You give us a different side of a lot of the issues for us to consider. So thank you very much for coming and staying. Have a good night.
Mr. Schmidt?
I too would like to thank everyone for coming out this evening and thank you for your comments.
Mrs. Stubbs?
I appreciated everyone coming out. I appreciated the comments that were made and suggestions that were made. That's what we're here for. So thank you for those who are coming forward and offering suggestions.
Mrs. Winters?
I too want to say thank you for coming out. Hopefully everyone had a nice, safe Labor Day weekend. And see you soon.
Mr. Mignone?
Thank you all for coming. And as earlier as President Mercado had said, I am really excited about moving forward with the Field of Dreams, whether it's going to be a Little League Challenger division or a Miracle division, a league. I'm really excited about that. And if anybody is interested in participating, please email me at mmignone@glowtwip.com. And everybody have a great week and enjoy the weather.
Mrs. Trotto?
Thank you everyone for your time. Have a great week.
Mr. Mercado?
I want to thank Vice President Trotto for pinch hitting for me while I was on vacation. And thank you, Councilman Mignone, for agreeing to do this. As I was talking to him, I could hear the wheels turning, even though it was via phone. I expect great things to come from it. Sorry, I set the bar so high. Okay. Next meeting, September 26th. Gloucester Township will celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. Individuals that are nominated by our community that have made exceptional contributions to our community will be recognized here. It starts at 7:30. Contrary to what you believe, say, oh, don't go to these presentations or awards. No, come to the presentations and awards and see our students that excel in our school district. Sometimes they're maligned by individuals that say perhaps our school districts are not what they should be. But you will be impressed by the individuals that are here. Anyone can nominate anyone. The nomination process is up until September 14th. You can find the nomination form online. Chip, I'm sure you have some great students at Glen Landing. In fact, we need some nominations from Glen Landing. So if you know anyone of Hispanic descent that's made a contribution, whether they live or work here, you can nominate them. So with that, I want to thank you for coming out this evening. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. Have a great evening.
It's just starting to really push out now. It's on the website. I think it's just on the website.